Good morning, everybody. This is Brett Gordon here, running the show, which is good reason why I don't have the whole spiel in terms of what we're doing for the intros normally. But I was just on the phone with Brandon and Gavin. They are driving across country right now to come out here to Las Vegas, where we're going to be part of a conference that Brandon is getting 3 awards for the show, for the for everything that we've been working on for a long time, and Brandon's been working on it for a lot longer. So really looking forward to catching up with everybody and checking out where we're at throughout the rest of the afternoon and rest of the day tomorrow. Now we're going to try and do live shows tomorrow. The thing is, we're going to be setting up, so we're not exactly sure how everything is going to come together tomorrow. And I am right now just trying to tune in on the other side to make sure that we're getting everything live here that we should be. Hold on one second. Let's see, hang on. Hold on. Hey, if anybody can hear me, put something in the comments. It doesn't look like anybody's out there yet. If you do have anything, there we go. Hey, Brian. All right. Now I know at least I'm live. Thank you, sir. So let's get back to the story here. Brandon and Gavin are driving cross country. They are in Kansas now. They haven't clicked their heels of their red ruby shoes, and so they are still in Kansas right now. They haven't been caught up in a tornado heading out their way, but they actually did run into some really big storms as they were traveling through Indiana and Illinois. And my understanding is they actually were in an area where there was a tornado. So as they were driving, big challenges for them. So they're running a little bit late. They were hoping everybody was going to be there, or everyone that they might be in Lincoln, Nebraska by now, to where they could try to come in on the show, but they haven't made it that far due to the storms, and they got another 18 hours or so, it sounds like, before they get here to Vegas. So they're in transit. They did want to say that they apologize for not being able to be live on the show today because of the difficulties of trying to keep a signal while they're driving and doing it via just normal cell phone. I think somehow Brian Tracy out there has got probably an amazing setup in his truck where he can hold a signal a lot longer and be able to actually do video and drive at the same time. But with the regular cell phone and devices that Brandon and Gavin have, they're not able to do so. So good morning, Mandy. Glad to see that you're out there. And I will definitely tell the guys to stay safe. Morning, CK. And I am happy to see everybody that's out there. So let me just give you another quick rundown. So tomorrow the guys will be out here. Hopefully they'll get out here sometime late this evening. Brian says they're just amateurs. That's how come they can't figure out how to connect and stay connected while they're driving. Anyhow, they got to focus on driving. They ended up leaving Ohio sometime, I think, around 4 or 5 o'clock last night, ran into storms where they were driving like 25 miles an hour because the rain was so hard that they could only see, a few yards in front of the truck or in front of their car. And they have had some exciting times as they're driving through. And it's just Gavin and Brandon that are making this trip. So they're switching off driving, trying to keep each other awake, and at the same time trying to get a little bit of sleep. So when they got to take the wheel again, they are prepared and stay awake while they're driving. Been through all that before. I've personally driven across country. You had a lot of rain there as well, Mandy. I wish we had rain here. We're dying from the drought, which is supposed to be maybe the most severe yet this year. And we've been under a drought for almost 20 years now here in Vegas and the West Coast even. So Lake Mead, which is where we get our water from, and a big part of the water that comes from that goes to California, they actually get most of the water from Lake Mead. And Lake Mead is 130 or 140 feet below what would have been kind of the norm in the past, prior to the year 2000. And we would love to be getting the rain that the guys are seeing as they're driving cross country, but we're not supposed to be getting any rain anytime soon. And it was 115 degrees out here yesterday. I know that yesterday was Father's Day, and I got the opportunity to try to do a lot of stuff outside because I bought this barbecue grill that I was going to replace, or I did replace the one that I had over at the house where my mother and father are living, which is actually my house, but I moved out because there was too much noise there. But I was able to put that on the back of my truck and bring it over there. Man, I'll tell you what, working outside in 115 degree heat gets to you before you really recognize it. I had no help when I was putting this 110-pound barbecue grill onto the back of my truck. So had to use a lot of leverage, had to use a little bit more of my brain than I've used in a while in order to be able to do it by myself. But I was able to get it on the truck and bring it over. And then when I got over there, we left it on the truck. My dad was going to help me. He's 85 years old. And I told him, can't really use his muscle. Not that he wouldn't have wanted to try, but I didn't want to hurt him. And luckily, my sister came over with her son, who is now 13 years old, but he's been lifting weights and stuff like that. So between he and I, we were able to get the barbecue grill off of my truck and into the backyard. So they have a brand new barbecue grill, and took out the old one and brought it to my house here. So hopefully later this week, I can have Brandon and Gavin, and if Joe comes out, have them come over and we'll cook out by the pool in the back of my house here and enjoy conversation and grab some burgers or something while we're on the grill. But anyhow, it was Father's Day, and I hope everybody had a good Father's Day one way or the other. That is 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Forgot about that. We've got the international audience, so I should have been a little bit more specific on that. I think that amounts to about 52 or 53 degrees, something in that arena, Celsius. So hotter than Hades here, and it's been that way this whole week. It's supposed to cool off a little bit next week. We're going to be really happy when it gets down to just 105 degrees. But that's Vegas in the summertime. We did break a couple of records, and it does make barbecuing outside a little less comfortable because you're kicking in the heat. Brian just told me it's 51.6 degrees Celsius when it's 115 degrees out here. So that's the kind of weather that we're experiencing. Luckily, when Brandon and Gavin come out here, they're going to be at the hotel where we're having the conference. and it'll be air conditioned while we're there. We're going to actually be at the MGM Grand, where they'll be staying, and we'll have the conference. So getting back to yesterday, I hope everybody was able to celebrate Father's Day in their own way. I know that for some people, they were able to be with their father and enjoy the time. Others may not have had as good of memories as I was lucky enough to have with my father, who's still here. And interestingly enough, my friends get a chance to meet my father, and they're like, he's the coolest father that they've ever met. And he really is pretty darn cool. You know, he goes out. We like to go shoot pool still sometimes. When he gets an opportunity to shoot pool, he gets a lot of energy, and off we go to shoot pool with the group. And we have a pool game that we play called poker pool. So you deal out 5 cards to everybody, and you're supposed to make the balls that are your cards, and the first one out is the winner. Good morning, Sherry. Nice to see you out there. Anyhow, when we go out and play pool, he's got more energy than he does most other times when he's sitting at home. And that's understandable. He gets the chance to get out with whoever's playing pool, and it could be guys and girls, or just us guys going out there, and gets him out of the house and enjoys it. So that's the kind of when I was growing up, we had a pool table in our basement, and in order to determine who was going to have to wash and dry the dishes, we would play pool, and whoever lost ended up having to do the dishes. So guess what? I got a chance to do a lot of dishes as I was growing up. But anyhow, you know, there's other people that don't have their father with them anymore, but that doesn't mean that because they're physically not here, that they're still not here in your heart and in your minds, and that's the legacy that we pass along to anybody that we come into contact with, even if it's just opening a door to somebody. Sometimes that can be something that people remember long past the time that we didn't even realize it was something nice. And on Father's Day, we get a chance to celebrate kind of those memories with our fathers. Other people didn't have as exciting a time, or they might have had some very difficult or traumatic times within their families. And you can oftentimes celebrate the father that you wanted to have vicariously through friends who had fathers like you had, or even television fathers that you wish you would have had as a father figure in your life. And that's something that we just need to keep in mind as we go through these holiday seasons. To some people, it's very near and dear to their heart. For other people, it may be something that they try not to even think about. And we each have our own way of dealing with things. But in those cases where you had tremendous joy in your life from, you know, your parents, your father, your mother, whatever that happens to be, cherish those. And again, you know, as Sherry said, you know, hers is in heaven, and miss them every day. But the great thing about it is that you have them with you every day too. And you have that choice as to whether you draw on it or hide it, or keep it behind the scenes, I guess I should say, if you had more of a traumatic childhood due to the relationship that you may have had with your parents, with your father. And you know, if that's the case, you can also, you know, call in or text, I should say, with your just put it in the comments, and we can talk about it if you want to. But otherwise, it was a great day. I ended up having to cook corned beef, which was the first time I actually cooked corned beef myself. And people that are out there that know how to cook corned beef are probably like, what's so difficult about it? All you got to do is really boil it. Well, I tried to do it in more of a slow cooker, crock pot kind of a thing. And I was having a heck of a time getting it just to be simmer, which you're supposed to simmer it for like 3 or 4 hours in order to take this tough brisket, which is essentially what corned beef comes from, and make it into something that is soft and enjoyable with the spices and everything. Anyhow, I was able to do it, but it was a little bit overcooked, so it was very, very tender. And I ended up, usually my friend who is in the restaurant equipment business has a slicer, a commercial meat slicer that we could slice the meat on. Well, he sold that. So he didn't have any meat slicer. So I had to quickly get online at Walmart, and I was able to get a small like home slicer delivered the next day, which was Saturday, and had it in hand so that I could slice up the corned beef for my dad. That's his favorite meal, usually for both his birthday and any other event that he can ask for what he wants. It was a great time. We got a chance. He enjoyed 1.5 sandwiches and enjoyed being able to eat the corned beef. Next holiday, I think we're going to cook out on the new grill for him, and he loves burgers on the grill too. So very simple to be able to make my dad happy when it comes to food that he really enjoys. So let me ask out there, has anybody got any stories that they had from Father's Day that they want me to talk about here online? Just go ahead and put your comments in, and I'll go ahead and take it from there. Poker pool, lose snorkel in the koi pond. Yeah. We did get a chance to, when we're at my house, we can look outside and see the koi pond out there. It's actually kind of a river. It's got three big waterfalls, and I was going to put the pictures onto my computer, and I forgot to do that. But we'll show that one day. Luckily, all the stuff that I have in my backyard, I had a friend who was a landscaper put it in for me for just the cost of the materials. And the waterfalls that I have in the backyard are made of real, 300 to 500 pound boulders that he put in there and built up, and it's pretty amazing. He created a backyard that has a walking path in there that my mother can use as exercise, because she's supposed to get out with her walker and actually walk around, and can't really do that up and down the street too easily. Plus, you don't want to get too far away from home in case something were to happen while she's walking. So we created almost an infinity sign kind of walking path around the koi pond and around the grass area, and she can walk past. I have a Buddha fountain and a lion's head fountain in the backyard. So even though we're here in the desert, there's a lot of water, kind of a Zen environment in my backyard, that I was lucky enough to have a friend actually do that for me. And I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to afford it if it wasn't for him. So I really appreciate him. Talking about him, and interestingly enough, he is a father 18 times over. So he's got 18 kids that range, I think, in age from about, good morning, Jessica. Glad to see that you're out there. It looks like you're not feeling too well, so we'll definitely let you go and lay back down. I appreciate you just popping in and saying hi. Wishing you the best, and hopefully that you'll be feeling better here soon. Let's see. Mandy says, my next door neighbor and her daughter spent their first Father's Day without their dads. And you know what? There's a lot of that happened this year. for numerous reasons, natural causes, and also when you think about COVID. COVID actually affects men far worse than women, and a majority of the deaths actually are occurring in the male side of the population. So there's definitely a lot of people that are experiencing their first Father's Day without their fathers. My girlfriend, her father actually ended up being in the hospital for 2 months, almost in a coma. A chemically induced coma in a big part of that, but he did come out of it, and he's recovering far faster than the doctors thought. So, thank God, or whoever your higher power is for that. And anybody that's been affected by COVID, I just found out yesterday that my neighbor that lives next to my parents, his wife, who is a server, waitress in a restaurant, she was just diagnosed with COVID. He had the vaccines himself early on because he has some significant medical issues that he's had to go through, and hopefully the vaccine may help him here. We'll find out. His wife really wasn't having it too bad at this point in time, and we'll have to see how those go. But with Father's Day, with Mother's Day, with birthdays, this year is going to be a challenging year, since a lot of people have experienced COVID and natural causes of death throughout last year, but did so in an isolated world where oftentimes you didn't get an opportunity to have the funerals and the memorials and things like that many people grow up feeling like they need to have those types of things in order to be able to mourn properly, in order to be able to remember their loved ones in a way that they want to remember them. And just wanted to let everybody think about the fact that even if you didn't get a chance to mourn them the way that you wanted to, or you experienced this Father's Day with a lot of remorse in your heart, constantly remember that those loved ones that pass on are with you forever. If you choose to call on them, if you choose to call on the memory, the lessons, and those things, the joy that you had. I know when my father passes, he's already said, I don't want you to have a funeral. He wants to have a party. He wants us to have a party, celebrate the life that we had with him, as opposed to mourn the passing of him. And that way we'll be able to enjoy the time together, talk about the good times and that we had while they were here, and to look at life as everlasting, in that it's always in our minds, it's always in our heart. And that part of life is something that we can continue to dwell upon if we choose. So let's go back a little bit more to this week. Let's see here. Looks like Jess has been having some challenges since Friday. So let's keep our hands together and send her healing frequencies and energies from us. I truly do believe that we have the power of creating our own miracles as we start to use our minds and our natural energies, the universal energies that are around us, and be able to focus those. Oftentimes that's what we really can do, whether it be through prayer or meditation or just focus. We can bring those things to light and focus that energy on those around us. And everybody's got different beliefs. My belief is that when many people, whether through prayer or meditation or whatever, are focusing their energies to heal somebody, that's oftentimes when we see the miracles. It's a miracle that we were actually be able to bring about by focusing collectively our energies on somebody who may be going through a rough time, maybe going through COVID. In fact, as I was mentioning about my girlfriend, her whole family actually, my girlfriend is a medicine woman, and she had some ceremonies where they were all on Zoom together and focusing on their father. And I think that may have been a very good reason why he made it through, and he is now recovered very, very fast for people that have been through this. And it's got to do with the energies of those around him, that focused energy, and then his internal energy and desire to live and desire to come back and see his grandchildren. That was one of the biggest things that he said that he remembered. And sometimes even when you're in a coma, you can hear things or you can think about things that we don't really recognize, because it's very difficult when you're getting into that ether world, if you want to call it that. But the energies that we have and the energies that we can bring collectively are pretty amazing, and things that are definitely not known very well, especially by the Western medicine or Western way of thinking. But I think as you get into your Native American, your indigenous people, as well as those that are more spiritual as opposed to religious, there's this recognition that there's an energy out there that we can draw upon and bring to focus. So those are some of the things that we can always think about as life is going on for ourselves. I try to tell everybody, and we're starting to see in the news this whole thing about this new COVID variant that's coming through the United States. It's around the world, but it is now coming to play as kind of the major variant that everybody's concerned about. And what we want to do is recognize that out of everybody who's had COVID, 99.99% of them are still here today, even though they had COVID. And a big part of that is really the mental state that we have when we find out that we have COVID. If you look at it as something that is just another one of those days or weeks where we don't feel well. And I've had colds where it's hung on for a couple of weeks and felt terrible in the past, but after it was over, I didn't even think twice about it. Focus on your immune system, focus on your mental state. Make sure that you feed your body properly. Take some vitamins, vitamin D and vitamin C and zinc and those types of things, which are just naturally able to help your body to build its immune system. I see from Jaybird out there. Well, Sherry says, thank the divine. I can go ahead and do this. I should have been thinking about this before. There we go. And Sherry is sending healing energy to Jessica. Thank you, Sherry, and everybody else that's doing that as well. Jaybird, yes, there is a great power. We choose to bless or to curse. How you react makes your energy manifest. Use it wisely. Absolutely. It's something that I say as I'm working with people oftentimes, and that is where your focus goes, energy flows. And this is something I heard from Tony Robbins, so I can't take credit for anything like that. But it really, really is the truth. If you focus on the empowering things, you're going to draw empowering energies from within and from without. If you focus on disempowering things, you're more likely going to feel the impact of disempowering energy. So focus on the positive. Yeah, I know sometimes it's a challenge to focus on the positive. I see that Jessica is saying thanks to Sherry, and I'm sure to everybody else that is sending her great energy. And Mandy is saying, you know, may our Creator bless and heal our sister Jessica. Thank you again, everybody out there that's sending great energy to Jessica. So back again, focus with gratitude in life. The fact that you were able to wake up this morning is, if you say that that's all it takes to make you happy, guess what? Every day you wake up, you're going to be happy. Some of the challenges that we have is that we don't even think about getting up in the morning as something to be grateful about, because we just do it all the time. And sometimes when we wake up in the morning, it's like, oh my gosh, I'd rather be asleep. And we actually look at it as almost a negative thing that we had to wake up. But we should look at it and cherish that moment that we opened our eyes, we're 6 feet above ground instead of 6 feet below ground. Such an easy thing that if we say this is what we should be happy about, the very first thing that you do when you open your eyes is to be happy because you were able to open your eyes and you were able to get out of bed. That's an amazing thing. I see Jessica is thanking everybody, and her youngest daughter's birthday is today. So Jess has got a joy to be able to celebrate that. And again, you know, those times when we're not feeling necessarily as good as we want to feel, oftentimes we can find something that's going on that we have to rise to the occasion. And in this case, it looks like Jess is going to draw upon her inner energies and the energies of those around her, and the desire to really make her youngest daughter's birthday an amazing day is going to be something that she can draw upon as she's maybe not feeling in top physical health, maybe is having some challenges in maintaining the happiness that we would like to have in our life. But it's something that when we do get a chance to focus on kind of a higher power, and that higher power can be like your daughter. When you have a child and you're focused on them, that really is a higher power or a higher calling that you have for your life, is to help others with their lives. And when we draw upon those things, we can bring a different level of energy to ourselves and overcome even some of the physical and mental challenges that we may be having for that day. It may be something that is not with us all day long, but if we can try to build toward where we have more of those moments in a day than we might have had, then the day becomes a much better day in our life. And we also learn that we're able to draw upon those things so that the next time it comes around, we can draw upon it again and avoid either the physical or the mental depression that we may be having or along those days. Let's see. I see something from Mandy out there. Mandy is happy and blessed and loved and grateful for all I have, and I'm grateful for all the good people in my life. That's the kind of mantra or thought process that we really need to have. Even on those days where we might not be feeling so good, if we think that way, it will turn our days around. It will make those days easier, if not much better, when we take on a positive mental state. And we do have that ability. We've talked about this in the past where, if you're not feeling good, sometimes physically, but definitely mentally, if you're not in the place that you want to be, get up. I mean, physically get up, stand up, go for a walk, go for a run, get out of the environment that you're in. Make sure that you drink water, because oftentimes when we're in a less than empowering state, it's because we are dehydrated and our body chemistry, our brain chemistry is getting all out of whack because we don't have enough hydration. So, grab a couple of bottles of water or whatever your wherever you get your water. I'm not saying go out and grab a bunch of beers. I'm saying go out and get some water and really drink it down. And this water that you're seeing here, actually, I have a drink that I drink every morning. It's got a lot of B vitamins, because B vitamins also have an amazing impact on your ability to channel your energy, your mental energy. B vitamins are very good for your brain, and also very good for your immune system. So this has got some vitamin C. It's got a lot of the D vitamins, and I drink this every morning in order to be able to just start off the day anyhow, trying to rehydrate my body and to bring in some of the vitamins that are very important to our body chemistry. And when I say drink, don't just sip, drink it down. Oftentimes people, my dad is like this. I tell him to drink water and he takes a sip. And I'm like, no, Dad, drink the water. Because we live here in the desert and our bodies do get acclimated to it. I'm going to have to make sure when Brandon and Gavin come out here, they're coming from Cleveland, which is a more humid environment. And oftentimes you can feel the heat because you feel the humidity and you start dripping wet and so forth. Out here in the desert, oftentimes you can be very warm, but you don't feel it. They call it the dry heat. Well, one of the big things about the dry heat is it actually evaporates your sweat so fast that you don't feel as weighed down by heat as you might in other parts of the country. We're at 15 to 25% humidity most of the time throughout the year here, as opposed to, I grew up in Chicago where in the summertime it would be 90 degrees and 90% humidity. And those were miserable days because even if you sweat, it doesn't evaporate. It doesn't give you the cooling effect that sweat is really designed to do, because there's so much humidity in the air that it doesn't evaporate. And as a result, you just get drenched wet in your clothes and you're very hot and muggy and just not feeling good. So when Brandon and Gavin come out here, I got to make sure that they really do drink a lot. And you should be drinking, and this is something that you might keep in mind. When I talk about hydration, you should drink about half your body weight in ounces of water every day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water or some type of good fluids per day in order to just maintain a good hydrated state for your body, your mind, and your immune systems. So drink a lot of water. You can drink teas and coffees and stuff, but remember, when you drink tea and coffee, it's got caffeine. It's got things that are actually what they call antidiuretics, I should say diuretics. And what it does is it makes you pee more. And that means you have to drink more because your body is actually actively excreting fluids oftentimes faster than you actually take them in. And you may be drinking a lot of coffee or tea, yeah, but you're actually dehydrating because your body's getting rid of the fluids faster because your kidneys are working and it's filling your bladder. And that when they talk about diuretics or antidiuretics, it's really about the permeability of things within your kidneys, and won't go into a lot of the details there, but that's something that you need to be aware of. And when you breathe, you actually get rid of a lot of water, and then you start to dehydrate as well. So when you wake up in the morning, almost I would say that 100% of us, when we wake up in the morning, we're dehydrated because we just spent the night breathing, and through our breath and through just normal body activities and sweat and so forth, we lose water throughout the night. And most people don't drink a lot of water at night. I do keep a bottle of water next to my bed. So usually when I wake up, and I got to wake up 2, 3, 4 times a night because I'm getting older. Well, even as a kid, I used to have to go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times at night. And then I just take a sip of water before going back to sleep. Let's see here. I see Jaybird is saying, be in the brain, hydrate, body weight in pounds divided by 2 equals minimum ounces of water you should drink a day. Absolutely. Once you get in the habit of doing it, it's not so difficult. But oftentimes, because a lot of people just don't naturally drink enough. And I could say that I was one, and at times I still am, because you forget about it. You might get into your daily routine. If you're on the computer, oftentimes, I don't know if you've heard this, but when you're on the computer and you're watching the computer throughout the day, you actually don't blink as much as you would normally blink. And your eyes are actually drying out. And oftentimes you can feel that when you get kind of a dry eye as you're looking at your computer. It's just something that as we're really starting to know more and more about what it's like to be on a computer for extended periods of time, at work, at home, at play, video games. You tend to have your eyes open more. Oftentimes with video games, you're focusing on the screen, and you're just not naturally blinking as much as you do. But all that stuff kind of ties into how you can dehydrate just because you get focused on something else and you forget about the fact that you do need to drink. One technique that you can have in order to make sure that you drink enough is if you drink, like bottles of water, each one is 16 ounces. So if you drink 5 of them, you're looking at about 80 ounces of water. So drink 5 bottles of water if you weigh 160 pounds. Or you can, get a half a gallon container and fill that with water. And for those that are outside of the U.S., a liter bottle or 2 liter bottles or a 1.5 liter bottle, whatever, so that you can start off the day with, say, 2.5 liter bottles full of water. And by the end of the day, make sure those bottles are empty, that you drank them. And if you do that, you just naturally will know, okay, I did drink enough throughout the day. And you can actually focus on it and say, hey, my bottle's still pretty full. I need to drink this one because I need to get on to my next one. And that's how you can easily kind of monitor how much water you're drinking. And when I'm sitting here talking on the show, I need to continue to hydrate just because it's dry here. I'm talking, it's a lot of hot air coming out, and I need to rehydrate. I see Mandy is saying that, she kind of gets that way when she reads too much. When you get into your story, if you read a lot, you can kind of really get lost in your world even, which is really kind of a cool thing about reading. It can be from watching movies as well, but you can kind of get into the world of the book. In my case, like into the world of Harry Potter. And when you're in that world, your eyes are just focused on it. As you're reading, you're thinking. You may not be actually blinking as much even when you're reading because you're so focused on it. Computer screens are, something that there's a lot of energy in front of us too. A lot less than it used to be when they were the cathode ray tubes. You remember the computer screens when you'd go on and it was like the TV set where you had the tubes in it, and they were big and thick and heavy TVs. And now we've got LED screens and LCD screens, which actually don't radiate as much energy, but they still do. And when we're watching them, we keep our eyes open much more and much more focused than we might otherwise. So let's see here. Mandy is saying she needs to drink 3 liters of water a day, which, you know, in the US, that would equate to almost like 3 quarts, actually more than that, of water a day. And people are like, I can't do that. If I drink that much, I got to go to the bathroom too often. So what? Actually, that's really good. It clears out your kidneys from some of the other toxins that your kidneys have been getting out of your body. Oftentimes when people have kidney stones, the reason they get kidney stones is because they drink a lot of carbonated stuff. So carbonated is part of what makes up carbonation, or is part of what makes up your kidney stones. And then if you don't have enough fluids going through your kidneys, you actually start to get these deposits that build up, and eventually they become kidney stones. So being able to drink and pee a lot is actually a very healthy thing, as long as you're you know, monitoring it so that it's not completely out of the question. Jaybird talking about Harry Potter, the mighty dragon. Yes, and we also want to stay hydrated. You know, there's the dragon heat out here too, which is absolutely amazing right now, with the temperatures, as I mentioned. So something to pay attention to. Jaybird's also bringing up some of the old days. I don't know how many people out there still remember having rabbit ears on the TV sets. Those were kind of the 2 antenna that you could pull out and turn so that you could pick up the TV stations better than you were if they weren't fully extended and oriented to the way that the airwaves were coming into your house. Those were the days. I remember those very well. I remember the first time that we actually had a remote control on our TV. And interesting, because you don't think about these things, but we found, you know, somehow we were like spinning this chain belt in the room with the TV set, and somehow it was creating a frequency that would actually activate the TV's remote control. So we could affect the TV by spinning this belt. It was really kind of weird, but yes, those were the days that I was growing up, you know, and you know, a lot of people haven't had that experience or exposure because of the way that technology has grown in these years. And the other thing is, technology is going to continue to grow faster and faster and faster, much faster than the human brain can handle. And we can oftentimes become overwhelmed by that. And in fact, you know, a lot of the stuff that we experienced during this whole COVID thing is due to just the way that technology is coming at us, and for us not really completely understanding what's going on behind the scenes with the algorithms and with those types of things that are happening, as well as just the energy technology itself. But you know, you've got to you can oftentimes get depressed because you're asking questions to Google, to MSN, to whatever search engines that you're asking, and they're coming back with answers that are going to support the way that you ask that question. So if you're asking disempowering questions, you're going to get support for your disempowering mindset. If you ask empowering questions, you're going to get answers that are going to support your empowering questions, and they're going to bring you up. And these algorithms that are being written are also being filtered based on the bias of the person that wrote the algorithm, the company. As we're starting to find out now, you know, Facebook and Google and those guys were actually actively suppressing information that was being available, but because it wasn't in line with their corporate policy or with their whoever was actually developing the algorithms, that you did not see information that might otherwise have come your way. Be aware of those things that are going on, because those are part of our daily life as well. And what we need to teach in school today is not so much, I mean, we do need to teach the reading and the writing and the arithmetic and those types of things. And I truly believe that we should understand the foundations of mathematics and language as kind of the foundation of our life before we are able to just go onto our cell phones and ask the question. Really kind of understand how those answers come up longhand, if you want to call it that. Those are very important to us, because then we can actually start to critically evaluate the information that we get back from the Google searches and from the internet and from the TV and what they're telling us. All right, let's get back a little bit more. Yes, Mandy Atterbury, we need to detox our systems, absolutely, and detox every day, or at least take in enough fluids, and it's going to naturally help to keep your toxicity down. In today's world, we oftentimes are exposed to heavy metals and so forth, which are highly toxic and tend to lodge into your brain, your fatty tissues, which a brain is actually quite a bit fatty tissue. So we do need to detox and be aware of those things. Eat things that are going to help us to detox. Going back to kind of the concept of TVs and what it used to be and what they were today. Monochrome, yes, black and white TVs as opposed to color TVs. Now we see black and white pictures and we're like, oh, isn't that cool? It's black and white. In the day before, when I was growing up, it was like, wow, that TV show's in color now. I remember when Gilligan's Island started out, for all those hopefully that have ever heard of Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island started out in black and white, and then it changed to color. And boy, did that change the difference. I used to run home from school, even when I was in grade school. I would run home from school in order to be able to watch Ginger, the movie star from Gilligan's Island, because she was so sexy. And you had Mary Ann, who was the down-home girl, but she was wearing pretty short shorts for those days. I used to run home in order to be able to watch those shows. Jaybird talking about foil hats and My Favorite Martian. Yes, I don't know how many people out there have actually seen My Favorite Martian, but that was a pretty cool show that I used to go home and watch as well, where there was actually a Martian who was kind of became the uncle of a guy on Earth, and then it went through all the exploits. And oftentimes his antenna would go awry, and they would come up when you weren't supposed to be able to see him, but he would have some challenges, and they would come up. So another great show from the day. Good morning or good evening, Lena from Sweden. Nice to see you out there again. I appreciate you tuning in as always. Yes, Jaybird, Technicolor versus solid state. Hey, this is, again, technology growing as we're talking about solid state. How many people remember or know that a lot of the memory in your computer is on the hard drive, right? Which used to be floppy disks, and then it went to hard drive. And we won't talk about how, we progressed from floppy disk to hard drive. Well, we will talk about, we went from floppy disk to hard drive in terms of technology, but when guys get older, they tend to go from hard drive to floppy disk. Anyhow, just off the side, had to throw that in because that went through my mind. But, used to be you had to be very careful about bringing any kind of magnets near your computer because you could actually wipe out the memory of your computer if you brought a magnet too close to the hard drive, because it was actually saving all the information via a magnetic disk or orienting the magnets on the disk. Or I shouldn't say the magnets, but the materials of the disk, so that you could wipe out your disk with a magnet. Now, today's world with a solid state hard drive, which is what I was really kind of getting back to, solid state hard drives are like your thumb drive on steroids in your computer. So instead of being able to have 250 meg on a thumb drive, which is actually a pretty good memory, you can have a terabyte or more now in solid state, which tends to be really good in terms of not having to worry about magnets and magnetic fields and things like that. But if your computer gets wiped out, it's very difficult to try to get that information back on a solid state hard drive. The other thing I want to bring up today, our guest who was supposed to be on the show today actually canceled because his daughter was not feeling well, so he canceled at the last moment. Last night when I turned on my computer, I saw like at 12:30 my time last night that the guest had just canceled. So we're not going to have a guest on today. We don't have Brandon and Gavin on the show today. So I'm really looking, for anything that you guys want to talk about, bring them in. We'll start talking about them. And we may or may not go for the full 2 hours, but we'll keep it up as long as you want. Okay, we got Mandy bringing in. My late mom went from a manual typewriter, which I don't know how many people out there still remember those, where you really had to push the keys hard in order to be able to get it to push on the ink strip ribbon that would then put it onto the paper. Those were the days. And then you got to the electric typewriter. So you didn't have to push the keys so hard, because the electric typewriter would actually take that keystroke and put the energy behind it so that it goes on the paper. And then like in my day, like when I was in college, I used to have to type up my papers. And we either had manual or electric typewriters, but we also had to use carbon paper in order to make copies of it, in order to be able to turn in 1 or 2 copies to the teacher and keep a copy for yourself, because we didn't really have ready access to copy machines even then. Man, those were the days. And then we went into the computer world, which was really after I got out of my undergrad that we started to really use computers. It was when I was just first lieutenant, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, when laptops really started, and home PCs, desktop PCs got to be more of something that were available to us at a price that we could actually afford. Jaybird talking about the 5 1/4 and the 3 1/2 inch floppy discs. I don't know how many of you knew before, but there were actually bigger discs too when Honeywell, and I'm really dating myself now, but you're getting into these mainframe computers where they had big, I think even 10-inch discs that you would have. And those were pretty cool, because before that it was tapes, like reel-to-reel tapes, if you remember those types of things. And then we got to the 5 1/2 inch floppy drive, where you could put it into your laptop or your desktop computer, I should say, not laptops yet. Then you went to a 3 1/2 inch floppy drive, and then now we're into the solid state, which are pretty amazing. Jaybird, you got to be you're bringing out a lot of the history here. I actually do remember things like Royal typewriters, and then you went to the IBM, which was International Business Machine. That was before they were even really they weren't into computers, because that wasn't a big commercial market. And when they did go into computers, a lot of it were the big mainframes, and you had a whole room that was full of these mainframe computers that didn't even come close to the strength of the computer you now carry in your pocket in your cell phone. Crazy, amazing technology. The cell phone that we have today far exceeds the capabilities of that first manned flight to the moon and the modules that they were using to do that. This phone has more power than that. It's crazy amazing. And when you think about it, that's also some of the challenges that we have with dealing with life today, because it used to require scientists and these well-trained astronauts in order to be able to fly to the moon using computers that didn't have the power that we have on our cell phone. And now our human mind is having to deal with this kind of technology, which is, and the fact that we go to the cloud from here, right? So when you go to the cloud, it's almost an unlimited database that's available to us. You think about just how much video is uploaded on YouTube on a daily basis. It's crazy, crazy terabytes, which is millions of bytes of information are going up into the cloud every second, every hour, and it just continues to grow. Sherry, I think, talking about the Royal and the IBM Selectric. Here we go in terms of technology again. Our first VCR was a Betamax. Betamax didn't even survive. It was when the VHS and Betamax were fighting to see who was going to be the predominant technology for recording and storing video and being able to play it at home. And Betamax ended up losing. Betamax is really more of a Sony Japanese product, and VHS ended up winning out. And, you know, a lot of this has to do with who's got the money to market. Because if I'm not mistaken, the Betamax technology was actually better than the VHS, but they didn't have the money and the marketing to be able to get it. And who knows, a lot of it also has to do with political clout and so forth. Let's see. Yeah, what a crazy day. Exactly. The cloud data, you hope it doesn't you hope it doesn't store. Yeah. That's the one thing that we do need to be aware of. Virtually everything that we do electronically today could very well be stored in some database somewhere. And you've got big data, which is where these companies are saying that they're looking at things from a broad perspective, and they're not actually associating it to the individual. But guess what? Have you ever been talking to a friend and you didn't have your phone in your hand? Your phone was in your pocket, your phone was on the table, and then 10 minutes later you look at your phone, you're pulling up Facebook or Google or something, and the next thing you see is an advertisement for a product that was associated with the conversation that you were having with a friend. I question, was that coincidence or was that eavesdropping? Be aware of what you say, because oftentimes it is being recorded somewhere, and the next thing you know, you're going to see some level of feedback coming to you, or maybe not. Maybe it's just being recorded and attributed to you so that in the future it can be used to market products that you're more likely to buy, or use it to provide you a biased view of what you should, or what they believe you should or should not believe. You know, we can get into a lot of controversial things about the vaccine and so forth, but, you know, if they're hearing that you're an anti-vaxxer, the next thing you're going to see possibly are advertisements on why anti-vaxxers need to be able to get the vaccine, or you know, promote something along those lines. And it's because your Alexa, your Siri, or not even recognizing that those things are even on your phone, may be recording it. The same thing can go for your laptop, because it's got microphones. Even today's TVs now have the ability to control voice. Well, guess what? When it's controlling via voice, it's listening. It's listening to what you say. I personally try to avoid as many of those Alexa type devices, or Google Nest, where they can you can say, Google, turn on the lights. Well, guess what? It's listening. And you may say, oh, you're being just you're just letting that grow outside of the reality of what's happening. Well, maybe so, maybe no. Some other things that are happening in the world today. And I was just reading something yesterday, because of the amount of energy that is being used because of this heat that's coming through the West Coast, California and Nevada, that, the power companies have put meters on your home that they can actively monitor what and how much you're using. And in fact, they're able to actually tell, oh, guess what? Mandy woke up this morning and now she just turned on her hair curler. That's how precise they can actually identify the amount of energy that you're using in your home. So they can actually track kind of when you wake up, what devices you may be using, when you're using those devices. And even more so, in a lot of cases today, they're actually doing these rolling brownouts, or rolling brownouts is mainly what they say, which is where they're going to actively reduce your air conditioning in your home or something, in order to try and balance the electric consumption against the electric that's being generated. And they're also going to be able to channel, where the electricity is going to go. Okay, we're going to do rolling brownouts to the homes, because during the day, most people aren't at home. They're at work, and the workplace needs the energy. So we're going to brown out some of the homes so that we can channel the energy to the workplace. Well, very interesting. After COVID, more and more people are working from home. So is that logic still valid? And if your home starts getting warmer, even though you didn't change your thermostat, could be something along those lines. Okay, let's see. I see Mandy saying, yes, they spy on us. Yeah, they definitely do monitor us for sure. Funny though, when I talk about money, nothing ever pops up on that. Yeah, it's amazing how you can talk about money, but well, they could. Sometimes pay attention. You may be talking about not having money or needing money or something like that, and you may start to see some kind of advertisements on how you can make quick money, or how to work from home and make money, and those types of things. So be interesting, because the way that they're moving, especially with the way that they're tracking your phone and where you are and so forth, you're going to walk past a storefront and it's going to show you an ad for product that's being sold in that store. Or you may be even walking down an aisle of Walmart and you're passing the laundry detergent section, and it's going to pop up with a ad or a coupon for something that is related to laundry and laundry detergents. That's all going on, and it's being perfected. That's what they call, kind of the artificial intelligence, AI. It can be very beneficial, but it's also something that enables companies to be listening in or monitoring where you are, and then being able to very selectively build a database about you, as a matter of fact, and then start sending you very specific ads for things that they say would improve your life, or really what somebody is paying them for. A company like, I won't use company names, but say, for instance, a consumer product company. They're going to pay somebody who's collecting this AI, and then say, give me a list of all the people or all the phone numbers that go to the downtown area of this city more frequently. And then they're going to start sending you ads that are very location specific, very product specific, very topic specific information. Let's see here. Jaybird, beep, beep. You need a garden hose and an umbrella, but ice cream would be much better. Exactly, exactly. You know, you're talking about how warm it is outside, and all of a sudden you get a Dairy Queen or some sort of a commercial for, you know, a Wendy's Frosty or an ice cold Slurpee or something along those lines. And, you know, how did that just happen to come up on your phone or in the ads that you're seeing pop up on Facebook as you're watching Facebook? I don't know, just does. So yeah, Jaybird, LOL, welcome. You need to do laundry. Bob, hey, good to see you out there, Bob. Just letting you know that Brandon and Gavin are in the middle of their trip. They are now probably, hopefully, somewhere toward Topeka, Kansas, and still making their way out to Vegas. I got a feeling that Bob probably can make it across country faster than those guys make it across country. And Bob's just himself on his motorcycle, but it seems like Bob can crank out 1,000 miles a day sitting on his motorcycle and do it the next day and the next day. He can make it from Denver, Colorado to the southern tip of Florida. And like, for Bob, that's, I think, maybe an 8-hour trip. I don't know how he does it. He just cranks these things out. Oh my gosh, you got a ticket this morning. Bob, how can you get a ticket? That's got to be something you definitely don't look forward to, that's for sure. I haven't gotten a ticket in a while, but I've gotten in three car accidents in like 9 months, and none of them were my fault. I was in a parking lot, and a car turned the corner right into me, and that was one accident. Just the other day, I was stopped behind a stoplight, and this girl who I'm not sure she was even old enough to have a driver's license, ran her car into the back of my truck. And luckily I got this big Ford F-150 truck with a trailer hitch on it, and it pretty much destroyed her car and didn't do anything to mine. And then I had another accident where my truck was parked in a parking lot, and a guy was so drunk coming out of a casino, he had this brand new Mercedes and didn't know how to really, I guess, a combination of being totally drunk to where he could barely stand up and not being familiar with the car, couldn't figure out how to get it out of reverse, and just continued to back up almost across 500 feet of a parking lot until he hit my car. And then he couldn't figure out how to get into drive. So the security of the casino were able to come, and the police, and he never could get the car and drive and get it out of when he ran into my truck. Crazy, crazy. Oh, how the hell did they find out that you didn't have a dot sticker on your helmet? Were you in like a city, Bob, where you're at a stoplight or something, and the cop was looking at your helmet to see if you had a dot sticker on it? Holy crap. I can't believe you actually got a ticket for that. That's craziness. I drove from Denver to Sarasota in 2.5 days last week on a motorcycle. You know, they used to talk about, oh gosh, I forgot her name now, Suzanne Summers, and some of these things where they talked about, you know, power thighs and buns of steel and things like that. That's Bob Seymour. He's got buns of steel in order to be able to ride his motorcycle from Denver to Sarasota in 2.5 days. and still be able to get off the motorcycle and walk around. That to me is absolutely amazing. You know, Bob, I think, is really only about 23 years old. That gives him that energy. He just makes himself look older so that we listen to him and all his amazing knowledge that Bob brings to us and happiness throughout the world. Let's see, Bob. It's the second time a cop pulled me over in 3 months. I don't think that same cop pulled you over twice. Holy crap. Yeah, I would maybe stay out of Sarasota. Uncle Bob is so bab-ass. I think maybe that should be badass, but maybe it's bab-ass. Oh, there we go. Bad. Okay. Uncle Bob is a badass. That's a fact. A badass that brings joy everywhere he goes. It's fantastic to have gotten to meet Bob through the show. I'm really looking forward to a chance where we get a chance to meet him face to face. I'm sure that'll happen one of these days, either when he happens to maybe transit Vegas, or if I get a chance to head up to where he's at in Denver with his rocket scientist friend when he's up there. Let's see here. I rode from Sarasota to Atlanta in the pouring rain Saturday, 600 miles in 11 hours. Wow. I was just, if you guys take a look, Brandon and Gavin are actually posting videos, and will continue to be posting videos and pictures and so forth from their escapades as they're driving across country. They were in some heavy duty rain as they were coming through, as I mentioned, Indiana and Illinois, where the rain was just pelting down. I remember those days when I would drive from where I was in school in mid-state Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, back up to Waukegan, Illinois, which anybody who's been in the Navy might know Waukegan because it's right next to Great Lakes Naval Training Base. But anyhow, there you can get some heavy-duty rainstorms, thunderstorms, and in the winter you can get into some blizzard conditions, and you still figure out how to drive through it. I wouldn't want to do it on a motorcycle. I used to do it in my Volkswagen Bug. For anybody who remembers the old style Volkswagen Bug, and it was one of those where you're driving down the highway. This is God's honest truth. Driving down the highway, blizzard conditions. Those vehicles were great for making it through snow where other cars wouldn't, because the engine sat in the back over the rear axle, the drive wheels. So I used to be able to do that, but I had to have an ice scraper inside the car where I would scrape off the inside of my windshield, because as you're in the car, you're breathing, it's hitting this freezing cold windshield. They had terrible heat and defrosters in those things. And I literally had to have an ice scraper in my car driving home from school or driving to school in the middle of winter when I was driving my Volkswagen Bug. Yes, the Beetle Bug. That's it. Pretty amazing memory that just came back as I was talking about that. Bob is going to be riding from to Florence, Alabama to see Jessica on Friday. So hopefully Jessica's going to be feeling better. Bob, I don't know if you were on. Jessica is not feeling too good today. I guess this weekend she wasn't feeling so good, but today is her youngest daughter's birthday, so she's really trying to get a little bit of rest and then become the great soldier and mother to be able to make her daughter's birthday as good as it possibly can be. Then Bob is driving back to Denver and have almost 150,000 miles on his bike by the time he gets out there. A lot of miles to have on a bike. That's more than my 2004 diesel pickup truck. So that's a lot of mileage to be putting on a motorcycle and to be putting on a body. That's for sure. Jaybird, many trips in a Kaiser Willie Jeep CJ. Yeah, that's, I actually go back to remembering when I first went into the Air Force, they were just really transitioning. Well, they had transitioned away from the Willys Jeep to the Jeep, and they were in the process of then transitioning from the Jeep to the Humvee. But had a chance to actually see, and as a vehicle officer or vehicle transportation officer, had a lot of exposure to those things when I was in the military. Bob, yeah, get a hold of her, but I think she's going to be fine by Friday. I know they're super looking forward to you being out there. So I think that, Jessica is just getting through a little bit of challenge, which we all have in life, right? And eventually it goes away, and then you're ready for the next day. So that's amazing. Holy crap, Bob. So you put 30,000 miles a year on your bike, right? 30 times 5. Yeah, that'd be 150,000 miles. And I have never put 150,000 miles myself on any vehicle. On any one vehicle. Now, I've had many different vehicles, and maybe I've gotten to 150,000 miles over my lifetime, and Bob does it in 5 years on a motorcycle. Holy cow. I have tremendous respect for you, Bob. I don't know how you do it, but you continue to do it. And you do it in a way that's actually bringing joy to other people's lives, which makes it even more important than having to do that just to put the miles on. Jaybird, he's put 300,000 miles on a couple of vehicles. I don't know if Brian's still out there. It'd be interesting to find out how many miles as a truck driver Brian has, but a lot of truck drivers have more than 1 million miles that they've driven, and some of them actually have put over 1 million miles on their rig. Those definitely cost you to do that. I mean, the rigs don't do it for free for 1 million miles, so you got to do a lot of maintenance. But it's something that, there's Brian. Sorry, guys, my card number. What? Oh, he's been on the bank all day. Speaking of, that whole technology thing, yeah, when your card number is stolen or, gets out there into the dark web, it's pretty amazing how quickly it can go around and what kind of havoc it can wreak on you as you're trying to deal with the banks and get things shut down and not be charged for things that people are racking up on your cards. So technology, as we were talking about, is great, but at the same time, it can have some really terrible impacts. And we've seen some of that just recently. And I know that, we blame Russia, or they're kind of being blamed for some of the hacking that's gone on of, what was it, the Colonial Pipeline and a couple other ransomware type things that have recently happened. But that's what's happening with the world and technology. That same thing happens through your cell phone. When you place an order on a website that you may not know, I would, highly recommend that you use something like PayPal or something along those lines, where your information is protected better than if you just enter your credit card directly into a website that you are not really sure, or this may be the first time you're buying something from them. I actually have one low limit credit card that if I'm ordering something online and I've never really ordered from this company before, I'll use that credit card because I'm not confident that my information is going to be secure. And that also limits my exposure, because I think that credit card has a maximum of $1,000 that can ever be charged to it before it's over its limit. So something to think about when you're out there. You know, they were actually doing some of this stuff, talking about like Bob driving across country and so forth. There were and still are times where they've put in some sort of a device into some of the gas station or the machines at the gas station, where they can pick up your credit card information when you insert it to get your gas. Now, I know that they've improved a lot about that recently, but there was a number of times where they were actually doing that. And then I don't have one with me, but if you notice on your credit card today, you also have a chip on your card. And that chip is something that they actually were able to create a device where if they passed close to you, they could pick up that chip information off of your credit card that's in your pocket without ever having to see your credit card. So another thing to pay attention to, actually, I know it may sound like I've got this conspiracy thing in my head, but I don't. But I do realize some of the technology that's out there. So the wallet that I have actually has some shielding, so that type of eavesdropping device, if you want to call it, where they could pick up your chip information off of your credit card, is blocked, because there are wallets out there that protect that kind of information. Okay, let's go back and take a look at Bob. I don't have an ass anymore. I have calluses where it used to be. Well, you know, that'd be kind of like, you know, the people that walk around barefoot all day long and they can walk over rocks and everything and they don't feel it. I guess, Bob, that's kind of like your butt right now. You don't feel it while you're on the motorcycle because you got nothing but calluses. Then you got guys like me who have pretty much lived their entire life with shoes on. So if I go out and I walk in sand, my feet start to hurt. It's crazy. Andy, it's easy for Uncle Bob to do it because he loves it. Exactly. You've got to have a bigger why in order to be able to make it through some of the challenging times that may be uncomfortable. When I was going through military training, or especially if you go through and you watch any of the SEAL training, they put those guys in some of the most horrific, physically challenging environments, uncomfortable. I don't know if you've ever seen where they do an exercise in the SEAL training where they have all of the cadets like sitting in the water just as the waves are coming in. So they're able to sit and they're like holding a log or something, but they've got to sit there. And what happens is the sand actually comes in with the water, right? And the sand starts to get up into your pant legs and into those areas where sand shouldn't be. And then you have to continue to deal with that. And then they may make you go run afterwards. So those are things that are just all about being able to make it through the challenges of life. And when you can make it through those things, those physical things and those mental things, that's what brings the strength to us when we experience, you know, you can hear about it, you can watch the SEAL training, but unless you actually experience that kind of training, if you don't experience those types of things in life, very difficult to figure out how you're going to navigate it. That's why with One Square at a Time, what we're trying to do is use movies and our conversation and so forth to identify different tools that we can use in life and in leadership in order to be able to lead a better life, have a better leadership style, build a bigger legacy by learning the different tools that we can use mentally in order to be able to deal with some of the challenges of life. Let's see here. Outside sales back in the day. Yeah, how many times outside sales used to mean you go knock on doors. And in fact, there's still a lot of salesmen that do go out and knock on doors and they give free samples. One of the biggest industries that occurs in is the medical pharmaceutical industry. The if you want to call them drug dealers, are going from doctor to doctor, introducing them to their particular medicine or painkiller or whatever, and giving out tons of free samples, or trying to get the doctors to go out to dinner so that they can talk to them more about their particular thing. So there's some outside sales that happened. And I don't know how many people used to remember when there were encyclopedia salesmen that would come around and knock on your door and see if they could get you to buy an encyclopedia. Doesn't happen anymore. In fact, most people don't even know what the younger kids don't even know what an encyclopedia is. They know what Wikipedia is, but not an encyclopedia. All right. Yeah, no chip on your shoulder. It's in your card. Brian's got 635,000 miles on his truck. And if I'm not mistaken, he just had to put some extensive money into it, because when you put those kind of miles on a vehicle, especially like a tractor trailer, you're pulling heavy loads, you're pulling it uphill, downhill, and starting and stopping all the time puts a lot of stress and strain on those engines and vehicle components. And you know what? We can translate that also to life. We put ourselves under uphill battles, downhill battles, starting and stopping, roadblocks, detours. Those things all happen in life. So we have to remember that we need to do maintenance to both our bodies physically and to our minds mentally in order to be able to put the kind of mileage that we put on ourselves throughout our life. And, you know, there's times when we put additional stress and strain on ourselves. I know just the other day, I unintentionally was out with a buddy of mine. We started, you know, just having a couple of beers after the Vegas Golden Knights won. And the next thing I know, he introduced me to this drink. And it's got a nasty name to it. And it does some really nasty things to you. It's called demon semen. And you're like, what the hell are you drinking something like that? Well, it's actually Bacardi 151 rum with some kind of a melon liqueur or something like that. And I don't drink shots. I don't drink mixed drinks most of the time, because very difficult for me to manage the way that it's affecting me when I'm drinking something that tastes good, and especially if it's got a lot of alcohol in it. And I got my ass kicked. And the talk about the mileage you put on your body through one of those, I went through 24 hours of really not feeling well as I was recovering from that. And I'm sure I killed some brain cells, and I'm sure I killed some liver cells, and I'm sure I created havoc on my kidneys and so forth. And that's the kind of mileage that we put on our bodies during life. We do that intentionally and unintentionally. We do that by burning ourselves out at work, or being frustrated in a relationship, or drinking too much. Now we can turn all of those around, and we can eat better and eat clean, and that's going to be beneficial to your body. You can, either stay or get out of a relationship that is causing toxicity to build up in your body, both chemically and mentally. So how we treat our bodies can be equated to how you maintain your car, how you maintain your vehicles as we're going through life. We got to do the same thing for our body. Let's see. Jaybird talking about vacuum salesmen. Yes, that was back in the day too. You can go out and buy, or they would bring by the Kirby vacuum cleaners or something. Sherry, wow, talking about Bob's mileage and the beautiful scenes. He sent some amazing pictures. If you ever tune into Bob's Facebook page, you'll see some phenomenal pictures of nature, as well as some of the people that Bob has met along the way, and just live your. I do have a motorcycle license, but the only time I ever rode a motorcycle was when I was going through the training to be able to get the license. And then I've never done it after that. I guess I would rather have a little bit more metal around me when I'm driving down the roads, because never know where somebody else is going to decide that they want to go in the lane that I'm already in. Mandy has done a ton of miles on her mobility scooter, and yep, you can definitely crank out some miles. I was just talking to my dad. He's 85 years old. He's like, if I lose my license, or if you take my car away from me, then I'm just going to get in my scooter and I'm going to go to the casino, which is, 4 blocks away. I'm like, oh, that's great. Now I got to worry about him crossing the street of cars. If the fine isn't too steep, I'll try to get to Kansas this week to see Brian somewhere along I-70. Speaking about Kansas, that is where Brandon and Gavin are right now, driving through Kansas on I-70. Yes, I will get some pictures of the koi pond, and I actually took them. They're on my phone. I just need to get them on the computer so that I can bring them up. Maybe we'll be able to do that tomorrow. For those that don't have bikes, okay, there's some cool graphics and a belt vibrator. I'm not sure exactly what that picture is right now, but I don't know if you. So I'm going back now to when I was a kid. And they used to have in the gyms these belt vibrators, which you would kind of get on this machine and then put this belt around your butt and then lean back on it and turn on the machine. And it was a belt vibrator to give you exercise when you didn't actually move yourself. Mr. Kunis, what is the best advice for young individuals like myself? Best advice like what? If you could give me a little bit more specific about that, can definitely talk a little bit more about that as well. So give me some more specifics. Yeah, definitely follow Bob. I get a chance to see and comment, or at least like a lot of the stuff that Bob has got going on. Again, Brandon and Gavin are going to be posting more of that stuff out on the Lights Facebook page and so forth as they're crossing the country, and as we have our show out here, and probably some of the escapades while they're out here as well. I guess I get to be the one that is a tour guide, so that may or may not be that good for me or for them, based on the places I'm likely to take them. I remember Tupperware parties. Yes. And in fact, I think they still do. I was talking or listening to somebody talking about that not too long ago, where they had some sort of like a Tupperware party, or they also have, now they've kind of migrated some of that into the sex toy parties. I actually heard some people talking about that the other day. I know, where do I hang out that I hear these types of things? Sherry, I would ride with my dad all the time. I miss it. Nothing like feeling free. Yep, that's what I've heard on the bike. My girlfriend used to do that with her ex, and she just talked about how nice it was to be able to be free and have the wind blowing in your face and enjoying nature as you're actually driving by, without kind of having the extra metal and glass around you that you do when you're in a vehicle. Let's see here. Jaybird, from Bob being numb from his ride. Yeah, it's I just can't imagine sitting on a motorcycle for 10 or 12 hours pretty much consistently as you're driving hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's kind of like the respect that I give to the Marines. I was Air Force, but I'll tell you what, I had tremendous respect for the Marines and other services for their mission. Everybody's mission is different. The Marines, very much a physical and mental mission that they have, and to go through the the hiking, or they didn't call it hiking, they called it humping. You had to hump the trail, and that was just with a backpack on. Some of these guys that go out there, they got a 90 or more pound backpack that they're hiking and surviving. So the kind of experience that Bob is getting, the numb from the ride, these guys would talk about that too. You kind of get numb from having the pack on, and you just kind of just go into your zone and you just do it. And we do that in life. Sometimes we do it to our advantage, and we get into our zone, and we're what I call in flow, where the days go by extremely fast, and you enjoyed every moment of it because you were doing something that was in your natural energy, your natural flow. And it didn't matter even if other people might look at it and say, man, that would be horrendous for me to have to do. But that's the great thing about everybody being different. We get a chance to experience life in different ways. And when each one of us gets an opportunity to be in our own flow, we kind of balance out what a company can be, what our group can be, what the world can be, so that we all can kind of do things that are in our flow, and yet together we have a very balanced company or society. Let's see. Going back to some of the older stuff, I remember those huge mainframe computers. Yep, took an entire room, fans, lots of power. Now, cryptocurrency or crypto machines to change the frequencies each day. There's a tremendous amount of power that's going into computers these days. The old days they were cathode ray tubes and things like that, which used and created a lot of heat. Now that just tremendous processing power that creates a lot of heat and air conditioning. And Google's got a huge facility that's being built here in Las Vegas, which is nothing but servers and computer power. And what you see when you drive by there is just the tremendous amount of air conditioning that is required, not only because it's hot here in Vegas, more so because it's going to be so hot in those rooms. And in order for computers to operate efficiency, they've got to be maintained in a cool, dry environment. Bob, I've done 1,000-mile iron butt ride several times. Most I ever did in 24 hours on Bullwink was 1,300 miles in 22 hours. Holy Toledo. I just the vibration going through your body for 22 hours. That is really amazing, just like Sherry says. Yes, the server rooms are very cold. I used to be director of IT for a large logistics company, and we had our server room located right next to our offices. And when you went in there, if you had to be in there for any length of time, you're wearing a jacket because it is nice and cold. And when the AC would go out, that was when we had to bring in big fans and try to keep some circulation in there, because if those computers got too hot, they would start to automatically shut down. And the challenge is when computers shut down, especially if they shut down for emergency situations, getting them to start up again is not an easy task. So when you hear about computer systems going down, a big part of that is just getting them, first of all, to completely all shut down, and then to bring them up in sequence online in a way that's going to not cause them to crash again. It's another thing that, you know, you can equate to your body, to your mind. Oftentimes when we become overwhelmed, our mind shuts down, just like a computer shuts down when it gets too hot. When we start to get overwhelmed, we oftentimes, our mind will shut down, or we'll go into, we may have a panic attack, or we may have some sort of anxiety type thing, or we may get into a depressed state. This is really due to, you know, kind of our mind, our body overheating, or, you know, it's saying, I need to shut down. I need to cool off. I need to have some maintenance done in order for me to then come back online. And when we come back online, we need to come back online in sequence, because if we just go from, you know, trying to be completely depressed to coming back to full happiness, oftentimes you have to go through switching the switches in sequence along the way, so that when you power up in a very literally empowering fashion. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that goes on, like we're talking about with vehicles, with computers, it's the same kind of maintenance, the same kind of process that we need to be aware of in life. And again, that's part of what we talk about in One Square at a Time, is how we can use these tools and how we can look at movies like Despicable Me, or Hermione in Harry Potter, like last week, or I should have said what we were going to do this week, which honestly, I don't know. So let me take a look. I think that this week I will drop Big Hero 6. I love the movie. I think it's an amazing movie about technology, kind of like we're talking about today. For all those that haven't seen Big Hero 6, I highly encourage you to watch it. It's a great movie. It's an enlightening and an empowering and a happy movie for the most part. It talks about also some of the sinister side of life and technology, as well as the empowering side. And the Big Hero 6 actually kind of reminds me of Bob Seymour. It's this beautiful invention that is there just to be able to try to make people feel good, to make sure that they are. Big Hero 6 was actually created to take care of people when they don't feel good, when they get hurt, and it can scan you and detect what it is, and then diagnose it and fix it. And I think Bob does that when he's driving around and he's talking to people and he's doing things to be able to change sometimes their mental state from something that may be less empowering to more empowering. So I think I'll drop Big Hero 6 either later today or first thing tomorrow, that you can watch One Square at a Time, and how Brandon and I talk about the movie Big Hero 6. And then highly encourage you to watch the movie. Not sure how things are going to go this week with the show. Again, the guys are coming out here. We've got to physically be in this conference the better part of the days. So we may be coming online for just shorter shows where we may talk about just a few things. We may not be able to support the guests. I'm really hoping that we can continue to do that, or we'll have to reschedule them. But this show and the travel that the guys are going through to come out here are going to make our schedule more challenging for us to be able to maintain. And, you know, they're used to doing their show at 10 o'clock in the morning in Cleveland. I'm the one who has to wake up at dark 30 in the morning, you know, like 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, in order to be able to do the show. So they're going to get a taste of what it's like to have to wake up in the morning in order to be able to do the show, which I am not a morning person to begin with. So every time I wake up, it is one of those things where you do what you got to do. I learned that in the Air Force. I learned that in officer training school, where I remember the day that I went down to officer training school, and I went down there with a lot of the enlisted recruits that were going to go to a different part of the Air Force bases down in San Antonio. And I was being told, oh, yeah, you're going to officer training school. So when you get there, you'll get in there late. And they intentionally make sure that you don't get to the base until it's like, dark 30 in the morning, like 2:30 in the morning when you arrive. And then they get you into your barracks or wherever you're going to sleep. And they say, okay, go ahead and get some sleep. And then the next thing you know, they're waking you up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And they did the same thing to the officers too. So, they were saying, you guys are going to have it easy. Crap. I think that night, maybe I got a half an hour of sleep before we were back up and starting our training. So you do what you have to do when you have to do it. Again, it's all about having that bigger why. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to accomplish? If you've got a big enough why, you could pretty much do darn near anything. Okay, let's see. Mandy, this was so much fun remembering the good old days. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Mandy. I really appreciate it. We'll see how tomorrow goes. It's definitely going to be a little bit different. We'll see. The guys are supposed to show up here. Probably won't be until later in the evening, so we'll see what they're going to be ready to do in the morning, and we'll play it by ear. Let's see. Jaybird, pop the floors. Pop the floors. Bring in blowers to cool. Oh, yeah. So I don't know how many people really know about computer rooms, but computer rooms have tremendous amount of electricity, and they also have elevated floors. And under the floors is where you run a lot of the cabling and the power and so forth that are going to these massive stacks of computers. So you can pop the floors and look underneath there, and you've got this, spaghetti of wires that are going down there and power that's underneath your feet. Pretty amazing when you actually get a chance to see what these are. And then overhead, you have to have like halogen, not halogen. Halon fire extinguishers, because you don't want to dump a bunch of water on computers if there's a fire, they overheat. You put in gas that basically asphyxiates the fire, but when people are in there, they can also get asphyxiated because it basically snuffs out all of the oxygen, which is the fuel necessary for a fire. So very, very interesting. They also have those same types of things oftentimes in the hoods of restaurants. So if there's a fire, they can actually deploy this, which is going to put out the fire. And oftentimes you have grease fires, so you want to cut out the oxygen because that'll stop the fire without water. Because if you pour water on a grease fire, you're just going to make it worse. Yeah, Mandy, that's exactly right. When you have epileptic fits and things like that, that's kind of like your brain is overwhelmed, it's short-circuiting, whatever. Your brain shuts down, as you say, and you have no control over your body. Exactly. Your brain is basically shutting you down. It's short-circuiting, unfortunately, in those cases. And a lot of times, the reasons behind it and what the triggers are not always known. And that's why epileptic fits oftentimes happen under stress, but not under every stressful situation. It all depends, and sometimes it happens when it's not really a stressful situation. My girlfriend's granddaughter has epilepsy to the point where she'll never be able to really work or function in society because she has had such severe epileptic fits, and the what it does to the body, and also the potential that when you have one, you could fall and hurt yourself very badly because you have no control over your body. But anyhow, that's something that, again, your body is kind of shutting down. We are learning more and more about how to control that from both a biofeedback perspective, from an energetic perspective, which is why I have a Healy device and things that are all about, being able to balance your natural frequencies. And then also there's pharmaceuticals that are being used to try and help people that have epilepsy. But, sometimes those chemicals that they have can be worse than the epilepsy itself oftentimes, because I know some people that have severe epilepsy, and instead they're on these drugs that kind of keep them in a state of mind that is more or less foggy for their whole life, which is really unfortunate. So anyhow, been an amazing day. I can't believe we've already gone 2 hours. I really appreciate everybody from that's been contributing, because it's really helped me to be able to come up with things to talk about. It's been a very empowering day for me because I'm learning from you. It's great to be able to have these interchanges with everybody out there and bring you into the show and be able to talk about what you want to talk about. I think we should do this definitely more often, and we try to. But there's not often times where we have these kind of days where we can kind of just completely free flow. And I think that maybe we should do that more often. Let me know what you think about that, especially when we talk about different things. And Mandy, yeah, I think that there will be some time where we could do that, either do it on this show or on another show, or even have an opportunity to do some one-on-ones where we can talk about some of the things that we all have challenges, and really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mandy. Have a blessed day yourself. CK, again, it's been awesome having you out there and supporting the show, contributing. Love you guys all. Have a great day. We are going to be signing off here, and tune in tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see where we go with it tomorrow, but hopefully Brandon and Gavin will be on there. And take care, Jay Bird, and CK, Bob, Brian, Mandy, Sherry, everybody who's been a part of it. Take care now, and we shall see you tomorrow.